Over the past several years, Thomas Nelson has released several NKJV and KJV Bibles in something they call the Maclaren series. You might recognize these from my channel because I often get excited about the fact that they have these teal accents on the page for the headers and the chapter numbers. They even did one edition where the words of Christ were in that bluish teal color. But what you may not know is that the Maclaren series is named in honor of a famous 19th century preacher named Alexander Maclaren. Now, back in the day when he was actually preaching, he worked at a church in Manchester, England for almost 50 years, and his sermons began to be published during his life and ministry, and he became a well-known preacher, so much so that he was given the nickname the Prince of Expositors. And so Alexander Maclaren was pretty well known during his own life, but I think he's less well known now, and my guess is that's because one of his contemporaries was even more famous than he was, and that's Charles Spurgeon. Many of you probably recognize the name Charles Spurgeon. He is a legend among historical preachers, and Alexander Maclaren was a contemporary of Spurgeon's, and again, was almost as popular and almost as well known as Spurgeon during their lifetimes, but I think he's become less known since then, which is why I'm really excited and glad that Thomas Nelson has produced the Alexander Maclaren Study Bible. It really fits in well with the series of Bibles that they've already been producing. And basically what they've done is they've taken those published sermons of Alexander Maclaren, they've culled through them, and they've produced a really well-designed study Bible that is filled with insights from his ministry of preaching and teaching and expositing the Bible. It turned out really great. It's a beautiful, beautiful Bible. And yes, it still does have those teal accents on the page, which I like a lot. So let me walk you through this Bible and show you what it has to offer. This is the hardcover edition. They made 4 different editions on this initial release. So there's a hardcover and then there's 3 leather soft editions. So I'll put links in the video description to all of those. There's a brown leather soft, a gray and black leather soft, and then a blue leather soft. All of those have goffered page edges like one of the other ones in the Maclaren series had. So they're very beautifully designed, well laid out Bibles. They look great on the page. The hardcover edition is really solid, and I like this too. It's a little bit more affordable. So when you open this up, you're going to get a pretty classic 2-column, center column reference Bible design. I think what jumped out to me when I first read about this Bible, I noticed that they said there were 1,400 study notes, which is not a lot in the grand scheme of things when it comes to study Bibles. And this should be something you know. So something like the ESV Study Bible or the NIV Study Bible, those are going to have over 20,000 study notes. This Bible has 1,400. So what that means is when you open the Bible and look at the page, it's not like half of the page is study notes. It usually at the bottom, it looks like there's a footnote or a cross-reference or something at the bottom of the page. Those are the notes, the study notes from Alexander Maclaren's preaching are those notes at the bottom of the page. So it's not an overwhelming study Bible. Honestly, I may have not even called this a study Bible. If I was branding it, I might have called it like an Alexander Maclaren devotional Bible or insight Bible or something like that, because it's not going through like a lot of other study Bibles and giving like deep historical literary context of what you're reading. It's more that devotional insights from a pastor who is very good at explaining what the text meant. So he's going to get into some of that stuff, but it's not going to be every single verse. In their marketing materials for this Bible, they talk about how every single chapter is covered in these notes, every chapter of the Bible, but not every single verse is going to be exposited and explained in this way. So I think it's a really nice kind of middle of the road. It's got a little bit of that study Bible feel, a little bit of that devotional Bible feel, but it's not overwhelming. And at the end of the day, most of the pages are just kind of inviting you in a classic 2-column, center column reference design. But it does have a few bonus things. So you have the study notes. You also have book introductions for every book of the Bible that are going to give you a little bit about the author, the theme, the key verses, things like that. Then scattered throughout the Bible, there are going to be life application notes, these beautifully designed little call-outs in the text. They're going to be taking thoughts and material from Alexander Maclaren and saying, how do we apply this scripture to our lives? I like that a lot. And then you're going to get something called the Christ connection notes. So again, scattered throughout the Bible, little call-outs in the text that are going to say, here's how this verse or this passage connects to Jesus and really allows you to see the relevance of Christ in all of the Bible. Then you're going to have these outlines. These are beautifully designed. They look like little stained glass windows in the text, and these are going to be outlines. So they basically took the outlines of his sermons and they put them into key places throughout the text. So you can kind of see an outline of what the key themes are in this passage of Scripture that you're reading. I also put a little bookmark here in right at the book of Habakkuk. There's some articles, some essays scattered throughout the Bible. This one's called How to Apply Biblical Prophecy. So it's an essay written where it's kind of leaning and drawing from the wisdom of Alexander Maclaren to really dive deep into what does it mean to apply biblical prophecy. So you're going to have all of this stuff. So you get study notes, book introductions, you get those life application notes, the Christ connections, and then those different outlines from his sermons, plus a handful of essays written, all of that scattered throughout the book. What I do like about this Bible is they put together a really solid, by the way, there's a concordance at the back of the Bible that's almost 400 pages long. It's a solid concordance. So if you're a concordance power user, you're going to really like the one that they've put in here. So then you get to the very end after Revelation. You get a bibliography, so they're going to tell you everything they've quoted from here, and then you get an index of features. And so it's going to go through all of that stuff that I just mentioned, the Christ connections, the life applications, the passage outlines. All of that is in here book by book. So if you go, oh, I know there was something in Genesis that was a call out that I wanted to remember, but I can't find it, you can hop back here to the index of features, and it's going to point you to all of the different places where one of those features is found in the book. Otherwise, you're just going to be reading as you go, and then when you see something at the bottom of the page, let your eyes linger down there and go, okay, what can I learn from Alexander Maclaren's sermons and teaching about this scripture that I'm reading today? So it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. It looks really great. It has a 9-point NKJV comfort print typeface, which is one of my favorite of the typefaces designed by 2K Denmark for Thomas Nelson and Zondervan. It's very easy to read. It's got a good layout with those teal accents on the page for the headers, the page numbers, the chapter numbers, things like that. Even down there in the study notes, there's a little bit of teal accents in there to kind of help you find your place. So it looks nice. It feels good. It's a solid Bible. Again, not a full-on study Bible, but I think it really does capture the heart and the ministry behind Alexander Maclaren's preaching. And again, this is someone who a lot of people are not familiar with, but his impact during his ministry was incredible, and I think it has the ability to continue being impactful thanks in part to stuff like this, a Bible like this that really preserves some of the teachings that he had and some of the ideas that he had. And again, someone who became really well known in his life and ministry for being so good at expositing Scripture. Now we can take some of that and sew it into our own lives as we're reading and studying the Bible. So I think this turned out really great. Again, there are 4 different options of it. You have the hardcover as well as 3 leather soft options. I will put links to all of these in the video description if you want to check them out, see what the current prices are for them online. So thank you so much to Thomas Nelson for sending me this so that I could share it with you, and thank you for watching. If you enjoy videos like this, Bible reviews, then click that like button for me, subscribe to my channel, and definitely surf around and check out some other Bible reviews right here on my channel. My goal is to help you find a Bible that's right for you and apply it to your life. And so maybe this is the one that's right for you. Maybe you go, you know what? I want to dig into Alexander Maclaren's work and writing and his thoughts on the Bible as I'm studying the Bible. I want to engage a little bit with this historical figure as I'm going through it. That's a great way to do it with this Bible. So thanks again to Thomas Nelson. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.